And as I mentioned, songs, our second presenter is no stranger, especially in the Caribbean or to Indo-Caribbean peoples abroad. She was born in the Holas family, from Cedros in Trinidad, a very popular family of singers, her brother being Budram Holas. She was born to a famous singing family in Trinidad. She got her teacher's diploma at Corinth Teachers Training College and a diploma in drama, theater, and arts in education at the University of the West Indies, my alma mater. A teacher for 40 years, certified in Hindi, broadcasting, and Reiki. And apart from that, she actually is a very famous singer in Trinidad and Tobago and singer of our form of expression, not chutney, but folk songs like the Sanskar Git, Chatti and Barahi, and other names like that. She was trained under Sri Mangal Patesa, a very popular guru here in Trinidad. He plays the sitar as well as teaches singing. She now has her own folk group, Sangeet Milan, and has written many books of these songs, the lyrics as well as the translations, and produced many CDs. So these CDs are available online. You could go to YouTube or just Rukminee Beepath. Just look it up and you could see all of our music which are available online and is very unique to our part of the Indian diaspora, colonial Indian diaspora. And because she has done that, it has immortalized these expressions of our ancestors. She is the founder of the Indian Cultural Center in Caparo, Trinidad. And at this institution, she continues to teach these song traditions to the youths, which is absolutely necessary. I now present to you Rukminee Beepath.
Good job.
Namaste. Namaste.
Namaste.
Sitaram to all. Are you hearing me?
Yes, I think everyone is here.
Yes, you're loud and clear.
Namaste. Happy Indian Arrival Day to all. My name is Rukminee Beepath. I have been an educator for the past 40 years. Today, I'm going to take you on a journey through the life experiences of our ancestors who came here 176 years ago. I have been a descendant, or a direct descendant of my ancestors. My grandparents came from Lucknow on my paternal side, and my maternal side parents came from Bihar. They brought with them here their religion, dress, language, music, dance, so many skills. And I have also learned a lot from them and documented a lot of these skills into books that I am passing on to the next generation. I have been teaching these songs and these skills to other people throughout Trinidad and Tobago. So today, let me take you on a journey throughout their life experiences so you too can learn some of what I have learned.
So, are you hearing me?
Well, yeah, I think
This is, well, having been one of the daughters of the Indians who have come to Trinidad, I have been doing work throughout the community, throughout the temples, throughout the schools, throughout the choirs, singing in the choirs throughout Trinidad, because teaching them to sing. And each place that I have been to and conducted classes, I've been given awards. So I have a host of awards there with me that always remind me that I am a child of the indentured. And I have to ensure progress and to ensure that their identity is kept and our identity is kept. Well, you have already gotten some of my biodata from Dr. Visham Bimal, so we proceed to the next. Now, these are members of my family, my father and mother, who were the pioneers, I should say. Their parents came from my grandmother, from the mother's side, came from Bihar, my grandmother and father. My father's parents came from Lucknow. And they had known so many things that my father was versed in dholak, harmonium, singing, and so on. And together, he and my mother, every evening, they would put us together. We'd sit together in a semicircle after everybody had completed their homework and so on for school next day. And my father would teach each one of us to sing songs, play the dhantal. One person will be playing dhantal. Dhantal is an instrument that was made in Trinidad. And we have the front, the harmonium. We had something they call shak, where they used to make from with the seeds and the calabash. You clean out the calabash and you put the seeds in them. And you make shak. It's an instrument that we use until now too. Some people call it the maracas. And so each one of us were given an instrument to play. My father taught us how to play it. So when we start singing, we'll have to go together in rhythm. So I was one of the singers. My brother Budram, just behind me, standing in white. I am in white on the extreme, on the left of my father. And we learned all these songs from bhajans, to wedding songs, to chatti songs, barahi songs. Anybody in the village would have any celebration, my mother and father would go to sing and take us with them. This is how I learned all these songs through oral traditions. And well, when I spoke to my father and asked him to tell me about the Indians when they came here, my father, he gave me a running commentary on what had happened. After my grandparents came on the Patel Rozak, they were quarantined at the Nelson Island. And from there, they were dispatched to different estates. Now, they lived in what we call barracks. Barracks were little houses that were very long, and they had rooms like, oh, we have apartments now. And then we, from the apartments, from the barracks, they moved on to the cane fields, where they were sent to different cane fields. They were dispatched to cane fields, where you see their work was outlined for them to cut the cane, plant the cane, as the case may be, and they spent years there on the estates doing that. And then we had also rice farming as well. So we had different estates. But my parents, after my grandparents were finished with the indenture, the girmit is what they had signed, the contract for 5 years. And when they were finished with the contract for 5 years, they allowed to go back to India if they wanted, or they could settle in Trinidad. So my parents settled in Trinidad. They chose to settle, my grandparents chose to settle. And so they built mud houses, as you would see in the picture on the left there. The mud houses and built with thatch roof. The roof was made with something called timate or cocoa, the leaves. And all around the houses will be they would be built with mud. There is a special way that my father had known how to construct this house, and so he did our house like that and separated the rooms as well with mud walls. And we used to paint the mud walls and have the house looking so neat and nice. And my mother showed me how we could lipe. Lipe is one of the methods of smoothing the walls and the floors, so you have it neat and clean and livable. Then my parents initially, after they came from the boat, they were posted down to the coconut estates. Actually, not all the Girmitias went to sugarcane. Some came to the coconut estates, and my family on both sides were posted to the coconut estates. And Initially, they were at the Icacus estate, and then at St. Quentin is one of the name of the estates in Columbus Bay. That is where my grandparents used to live, my father, his mother, his brothers, and so on. And then from there, well, my grandmother had gotten the opportunity to purchase land, and she purchased land in Chatham. That is where and then she came to live in Chatham. So while living there, my father met my mother, who was from Granville, and they had an arranged marriage. So my grandmother, my mother's parents were living in Granville, which is also close to the sea. And we moved in to live with them. After this arranged marriage with my father and mother, they had lots of land to work. So my mother's side family told my father, come and you can live in our area. And they had acres of rice land, about 7-8 acres of rice land that were planted. So my father moved down to Granville to live where my mother parents used to live. We built our own house there, and a few of us were born there, and we lived close to the sea. Living close to the sea meant a lot for us because we only had to plant, we had rice that we could go by when we planted rice. We had boxes filled with rice after they cut the rice and they dried it and they packed it into these boxes. We were able to take them out from them, sun them out and carry them to the mill, and we had rice to use for the whole year. We also used the coconut to make oil. So we had oil throughout. We didn't have to buy oil. We used the coconut leaves and we made brooms, and we had to use to sweep out our houses and so on. So the coconut tree was really very helpful to all of us. And even when we cut the trees and we had the trunks, we put the trunks together and made benches that we can sit on. Anyway, with the beaches nearby, my parents used to allow us to go, and all of us used to go together with my parents, and there's something that they would tie the coconut branches together and make something like a net and pull out lots of fishes from the sea. And then we would pick up something you call chip, and there were the kongs and so many seafood. So we actually grew up on seafood, not too far from where we live. It was just quarter mile away. And we would use all this. The seafood will enable us to not only get strong, but it's economical for us because even though we planted our gardens and our rice fields and we had vegetables that thing to go by, we also had the seafood to help us along. So we didn't have much to buy by way of goods and groceries and so on. Then you can see there one of the houses where my daughter is standing, one of my grandparents' houses, and this is where we grew up earlier on in life. My father now had a group of musicians and singers, and he taught all of us to sing. And these musicians came to help us out with teaching us to play the dhantal, some of us to play the tabla, and so on. So initially, we all became musicians because of the efforts of these men in this picture here who came. They were friends from my father living in the same village, and they came to show us, well, this is how you play the dhantal. The dhantal is that long piece of iron you have there that was a musical instrument that was made from pieces of steel. And the handle was made with steel as well, and you can knock it in rhythm to go with the song. And of course, we had the harmonium, which came from the ancestors, and we had the dholak. We even had the tabla that came with the ancestors. So all of these, and you notice that the coconut branches are used in the background there to separate us when we have any little get together, also like a screen to separate you from the outside so that it becomes private. Now our group, my established group throughout Trinidad and Tobago with all of us in the group. And this is where we went to perform the president, Nur Hassan Ali, who passed on some time ago, 2 years ago. So this is the climax of our group. You'll see me sitting there in the green and my brother sitting next to me. My brother is an international singer who has performed in Guyana, Suriname, Mauritius, and so on. He is Budram Holas. He's also a chutney singer. He would sing bhajans and you name it. He is versed in all types of singing. My father, when he was teaching us, he didn't only teach us one type of song. He wanted to be a holistic development so that we would be able to sing all the different types of songs. So this is one of the pictures we had when all of us went to the president's house to do a performance there for him. And I felt so happy that my parents who have come from India would be able to perform outside of their home. Now, after I got married and I left, initially my name was Rukminee Holas because I belong to the Holas family. Now, I got married into the village of Kaparo, and my husband there, Mr. Adhar Beepath, he was also a harmonium player, musician. My father-in-law was a pundit, and he had the whole village where he was doing prayers, and all, the villagers looked up to him as one of the stalwarts in Indian culture to always be there for them when they need to get chari, when they needed to do prayers and so on. And so when I got married, I got married into a musical family as well. So this is, then after getting married in Kaparo, because Kaparo is a village where there was very little, there was no problem for water and electricity in the remote area where my husband lived. We moved from there onto Chaguanas. All this while I had been a teacher at the Chaguanas Government School. And these are my 3 children who I nurtured from babyhood right on to they completed their university degrees, all 3 of them. Each one of them now professionally employed. My eldest son in the white there is a chemist. My daughter is a teacher at a secondary school. And of course, my son at the extreme end there is a forest ranger. So each one of them, I had to ensure that they were properly educated because I always believe in education, and not only educating my children, I educated other people who came my way. Whether it is my sister's children, whether it is the neighbor's child, I always believe in education. So having left my parents' home now and come I formed my own band, my own musical band. So now I had to do some training with members of my group. But this is where in one of the performances, we perform a Diwali Nagar on whenever there is a Diwali Nagar during Diwali time, the Nagar would have shows and so on, and we would sometimes perform. So this is one of our performances there. My band is Sangeet Milan. On the left here, you see all the ladies sitting there with me are my neighbors and my friends who I pulled together to join with me and make up my own musical band. So I had to undergo some training to train them how to sing the different songs and how to play the musical instruments, just like my mother did when she trained me. So I trained members of the village the people in my area, the villagers. My husband is seen there playing the harmonium, and I had a whole player from the village as well. And so we continued with my we sang sohars, children when children are born. We sang beraha, songs of separation, so on. We did classical bhajans, we did Janev songs when children are initiated into the religion. Then of course we had film song, we had devotional songs for pujas, for yagyas and so on. We had folk songs for all different, for the weather, for seasonal songs, and then we had traditional wedding songs. So these are some of the type of songs that we performed. Then coming out of all those songs that I had learned out of my parents long ago, the only way we could have learned these things was through oral tradition. They would sing and we would try to learn like that. So then I told myself, my parents have known so many songs, and before they die, let me get together and put these songs in perspective. Let me put these songs together so that the next generation can benefit. So I spoke to my father and he said, okay, So we got together and with copybook and pen in hand, as much as I could have remembered, they would sing and I would copy down the songs, verse to verse, line to line, and put them in one book. And when I'm finished with that, I got another book and I said that we are going to do some wedding songs today, because I would often hear them singing whenever we went to perform. And I felt these songs were so touching. They were so authentic. They were so meaningful. I couldn't let them just drop by the wayside. So I decided that I'm going to put together this 108 songs, wedding songs. Why I put 108? I always believe my father used to always tell us about the number 108, how significant it is in Hinduism and so on. I always liked the number 108. So I did 108 in Janam Geet and 108 in Vivah Geet. And presently I am doing 108 in classical songs. So then with the wedding song, with the Vivah Geet, the Janam Geet is the first book, the yellow, where I recorded songs that you can use for Ram Navami, Sohar we did, then Hanuman Jayanti, Krishna Janam, Ganesh Jayanti, we have Loris, we have birthday celebrations, all these songs are included in that book. And there was a CD to it to teach people how to sing these songs. Then with the 108 wedding songs, I separated these songs into 3 different categories. I did first the Friday night when we have Matikor ceremony. And this is where the Dulahan, the Dulahin will be rubbed on with the Hardi and so on. And then we had the Saturday night songs where the ladies in the village would get together and Pachilawa, the Mosi, all of them will come and we have songs put into all that as well. And then I did the 3rd segment, which is the Sunday, which is divided into 2. The Sunday, the first part of the Sunday is when by the Dulaha side, all the celebration that is taking place and when he's getting dressed and all the ladies would sing and honor him and all that. And then when he leaves the home and he goes to the Dulahin's place, then that's the 2nd part of the Sunday where we see now the Dulahan, his party being welcomed at the bride's home, and then step by step, all the ceremony that takes place throughout that entire wedding ceremony, including the marriage vows that are written in English, so people can read and understand and know what they're getting into. So now, long ago, when the weddings were done, and I mean before this book, I was in a wedding ceremony, and I was seated in the congregation and I heard some people saying, Gail, get up, let us go outside and relax. Yes, inside here too boring. And this one that wouldn't stop saying mantras and it's just on and on and on and it's so boring. So I told myself, how they could say something like that for a ceremony that is so sacred. So she was telling her friend, Hindu weddings are boring because you just have to sit down and listen to the pandit talk. You wouldn't explain anything. So I was a bit disturbed by that remark. And I told myself, no, I can change things. I can change that for the community. I can explain step by step what is happening here. Let people understand. Let people appreciate the sacredness of the ceremony. What is the meaning of the Kanyadan? What is the meaning of the exchanging of the malas? All these are very sacred things that people ought to know. So even the application of the sindoor. So I told myself, I am going to do an in-depth work on this Hindu wedding ceremony, and that I did. And I put it in that book on the Vivah Geet. And then I did Ganga Darshanam. You know, I told you my father-in-law was a pundit in the area, and he always told us about people when you are alive, the kind of karmas you accumulate, good karmas when you do good things, bad karmas when you do bad things. But I also always ask him, so Papa, is there any way we can get rid of these bad karmas that we probably would be committing unknowingly? He said, yes, you can do that. You can go to the sea or to the river and you do Ganga Puja and you speak to the goddess of the sea or the river and you immerse yourself after the puja and you wash out yourself outside, but initially you must be able to wash yourself inside as well. You must be able to get rid of your sin yourself. You are the one have to do that. So it's like when you are doing the puja, you are doing it with sincerity, with love, with affection to the goddess and asking her to remove all my sins that I have accumulated in the past and help me to wash out the sins that I would have accumulated. So I did that book, Ganga Darshanam, where we go to the beach for Kartik Snan, and also there is a festival in Trinidad, the Ganga Dashahara festival, where you go to the river. Dashahara means removal of the 10 types of sins accumulated by man. And it's similar to the one on the beach where you go there, and I have been part of one of the ghats there for many, many years. And this is a program that has been initiated by Sri Raviji and the Kendra, the Hindu Prachar Kendra. And I have been a member of that group for many, many years, and I have been able to go with them to the riverside and be part of the program that they have had. So I wrote an entire book on that, the Ganga Darshanam, all that you need to know about how to get rid of your sins and so on and become a new person again. Then I did the next book, which is 140 bhajans for when someone dies. We have cremation, or we may have funeral, depending on what the person so desires. And then we have the appropriate songs in that book. So that's 140 bhajans there for you for Anteshti Sanskar. But these songs are really Ram bhajans, Krishna bhajans, Shiva bhajans that can be used otherwise, not only for cremation. It can be used in the temple setting as well when you're doing puja. Very nice. So now let me do for you a song from my Janam Geet book that is a Sohar that is telling us all about the birth of Prabhu Shri Ramachandra, which we call Ram Navami, and how the amount of love shown to Prabhu Shri Ramachandra by his mother. She cradles him in the hand and she rocks him, and then she rock him in the hammock, and we see all the amount of love as a more normal parent would show to a child.
Ram ke mathwati kuliya bahutni ke lage laho. Ram ke mathwati kuliya bahutni ke lage laho. Chalna kaushalya je godiya khelawat, chalna jholawat ho. Chalna kaushalya je godiya khelawat, chalna jholawat ho. राम के हथवा धनुषिया बहुत नीक लागेला हो. राम के हथवा धनुषिया बहुत नीक लागेला हो. चलना कौशल्या जे गुलिया खेलावत, चलना झोलावत हो. चलना कौशल्या जे गुलिया खेलावत, चलना झोलावत हो. राम के मचवाती कुलिया बहुत नीक लागे, बहुत नीक लागे लहो. राम के मचवाती कुलिया बहुत नीक लागे, बहुत नीक लागे लहो. चलना कौशला जी गोदिया खेलावत, पलना झोलावत हो. चलना कौशला जी गोदिया खेलावत, पलना झोलावत हो.
1 minute. So coming from the books that I wrote, I decided that I would go to the mandirs throughout Trinidad and Tobago with the permission of the pundits and teach the choirs that they have in each mandir. And this was a really, really good response I got from all the pundits. Actually, I did so in 20 mandirs because more than 20 pundits asked me, Rukmini, can you come and teach my choir singers? Can you come and do some sohar with them? Can you come and do some wedding song with them? So I told them, sure, I will. So myself, my husband who plays the harmonium, and my dholakwala, we went. And I made sure that the books that I had was available to all of them. Through the Ministry of Culture, I was able to get some funding in the sense that they provided the books, they bought the books from me and allowed the classes to have the students to have the books and the CDs so they would be able to play it and learn. Now, I would go to the venue and teach, like explain the songs word to word and so on. And then I would sing the song once or twice with my musical accompaniment. And then I would play the CD for them and let them know that the CD has exactly what I would be doing with them. So when they go home, they can play it and learn the song. And in this way, I was able to only have 8 contact classes with one temple. And do you know, by the end of that 8 contact classes, I had so many people singing those songs. I was amazed to know that so many of our ancestors, so many of our youths, and even the oldest members of the community, they came, Rukmini, I want to learn too. I want to learn. Not because I am old, you would leave me out of your group. I said, no. Anybody who is willing to come, I am willing to teach them. And so I had one of the temples here, one of the famous pundits from my area, Pandit Rabindranath Maharaj, he always, Rukmini, come you teach my pupils. And that is from close to me. That is one of the mandirs. And then the furthest from me is in Sangri Grandi, which is in Vega de Oropuch. I went so far as well to teach all those. Distance meant nothing to me. My idea was to spread the culture. Let people understand what the wedding is about. Let people understand what the stories are about. Let them understand that these are authentic songs that are being handed down to us by our ancestors. We must not allow them to drop and allow them to go by without getting the due recognition. This is why I put them in appropriate places in each book. So we would be able to find out which song we are singing where. This is one of the graduation ceremonies I had. These ladies were so happy that they learned the songs. Some of them came out and they volunteered to sing the songs, and they did even drama pieces and so on with them. I did drama and theater at UWI because I really wanted to demonstrate some of these songs where they came from, like the breaking of the bow is one of the songs that I had a drama. And I, when he came to get married to Sita. And out of these groups that I taught throughout, I was able to establish 4 major groups out of them. That when I have whenever I get jobs and I would not be able to take too many at one time, I could only do 1 job per night, I would recommend my students with their groups to go on. So I had the Kalya Ramnanan, who had another group. She made her own group, which she called Sanskar Geet. Then I had another student who came out of this very group, Sumati Ramesa, and she formed her own group, and she's in the Prisal area, and she would teach the people in the Prisal area, Kuva, and she would spread the culture there. The Kalya Ji did it for Ravin Saab and environs, as well as people in the Hindu Prachar Kendra, as well as people in Felicity and so on. So they assisted me now in carrying on these workshops throughout the country. There is another student who is Angela Gobin, who was one of my students when I trained the Swaha group. You know, in Trinidad, we have several groups, and this Swaha group had several temples, and they had asked me to come and do some training them, and I did that. And coming out of that group of students was Angela Gobin, who learned all the songs and made up her own group. And then she would also sing whenever anyone would have any weddings. And whenever I have extra jobs, I would give it to them, because the important thing is for me to get it out there, let people understand. And just we are rejuvenating this entire thing. We are reviving the traditions that are being lost. We don't want people to say, I just went to sit down here and hear the pundit rattle only mantras and we don't know what is happening in the ceremony. We have abandoned all that now. Whenever we have weddings, you can hear the group singing and explaining. I do my explanation. Sometimes we have the MC doing the explanation. Sometimes we have the pundit doing the explanation to let the crowd know, people know, well, what is happening at this time, whether it is the Kanya dance ceremony, which is the giving away of the daughter or the bride by the parents, or whether it is the sindoor ceremony where you have application of a sindoor, or whether it is the Agni production where they're going around the fire 7 times, that period, what is the meaning of the going around the fire 7 times, or whether at the end when they exchange malas, what does all that mean? So each song that is written has a meaning to it. So you cannot be singing in oblivion. You understand what you are singing and you know what you are singing and you know where you must be singing the appropriate song. And this is how I have been able to train more than 20 manders in the area throughout Trinidad and Tobago. So using my song with a song. So let me just do for you now a song from the wedding, which says, when Sri Ram went to Janakpur and he broke the bow, then he was eligible to get married to Sita. Many mothers had tried. Ravan, so many people went there and they were not able to break that bow. Prabhu Sri Ramachandra did, and then he became eligible to marry Sita. So I specifically use that song to demonstrate to you that when we have weddings, some of the things that we normally have to prepare. With the baby is one such thing that we have to prepare. And we do so with colored rice. We get rice and we color it in different colors and we prepare the baby. With the colored rice, we can make different designs. We can make we can make whatever you would have seen there in that is the preparation of the baby. Even the kalsas that we use on the baby on the day in question, we paint them, have them looking so beautiful because the wedding is a grand thing and you want everything to be up to mark. You want everything to look beautiful. So our grandparents now used to do all these things on their own. And I was able to learn all these things from my parents, from my mother, who particularly showed us all these things. I told her she showed us how to lipe, she showed us how to make the coconut broom, she showed us how to make the baby, how to make rangolis. At the entrance for the while, we will make rangoli at the entrance of our home. She shows us how to lipe the baby when it's time for puja, and we used to use the flower to make the designs, the ohms and so on before we actually sit to do puja. And then she would show us how to, we were 3 girls. My mother had 3 girls and 3 boys, 4 boys rather. So the girls would always be the ones to learn the crafts, mostly arts and crafts. So we were taught how to do make the rangoli, prepare the babies, and we were shown how to do the kalsas. We would paint the kalsas, and in the first one, right up to the front, you will notice that on the edge of each kalsa, I would have bought something that they call trimming and stick it onto the edge of the thing after the kalsas are painted. So I would I love to do workshops like these, and I have been doing workshops like this for years now. And this is one of the places that I have built myself in Caparo, the Cultural Center, where I conduct classes and teach. And this is the pottery as it is, raw, straight from the pottery shop. Well, you know, the potters who came from India were also our ancestors, and they were able to do all different kinds of pottery. So you see, we have the jug that they would keep the cold water in their rooms before they go to sleep. You know, it is said that when you have the water in that pottery, that jug there, the water remains cool for the entire night. Whether the sun is hot or no, the water remains cool there. So any hour at night you get up, you can get water from that to drink and be comfortable. Then there is this one with a handle that is called a wishing well, that you make your wishes, and you know, you put your coin there whenever you feel like making a wish. You make a wish and put the coin in there, and you leave it there, and maybe later in the year your wish would come true. Then the ones that are around, you see the edges are cut. They are the ones that we use to put, if we are having a dinner or so and we want to decorate the table with light, we light the diya inside and you put that over it. So then you get the light coming out of through the hole there. And then you have the spot in the corner here where we plant our tulsi. Everybody always have a tulsi plant in their home, and you always have it for prayers, and whenever you're doing anything like you know, you worship on mornings and so on, you have to have your special tulsi pot. You can have that to put your tulsi. Then far down next to the jug, we have a diya house. Diya house is a little house for the diya. As the saying goes, you light a diya and put it in there. No matter how much the wind would blow, it would not out your diya. You know, normally have that at your jandi place. So every evening before, when you do Sunday or so, you light your diya, put it in your diya house, and you can even light your agarbatti and stick them onto the side there as well, and they would remain for a while outside where you have your lingam. So these are some of the pottery that are raw, just coming directly from the potters. And then I showed you previously the decorated one, how we take our time, patience, and we decorate them. And this is where I conducted classes with students, children from the ages of even 10, 11, 8, 9, all the way until 15, 16. They came and they learned to do these, to paint these pots. And you see one of the wishing well in the corner there as well. So these kalsas are what we would use whenever we have prayers, weddings, any celebration you have involving prayers. This is how your baby would look so beautiful after you have decorated these kalsas. So we are we have improved our standard of just putting the plain thing there. So as children of the indentured, we must learn to appreciate what our parents have given us. So we decorate our babies with the colored rice and so on, with our cultures and so on and everything. So now I have been, since in my childhood days, I've always been a lover of painting. I always loved to paint. My mother used to tell us, paint the walls around the house. So we used to paint the walls around the house, which are mud walls, and we painted so that we could beautify the place, especially when it's near to Diwali time or when it's near to Shivratri time. We change the decor, we leap in the wall and then do a different decor every time. But here where I live now, I have grown accustomed to painting so much that the walls around my house are made of concrete. But I didn't leave them to look just like concrete walls. I decided I'm going to paint them and brighten them up and have them looking like, a home of some indentured person. And I even painted my tables where we sit to relax on evening. My grandchildren and I, my children, we sit to talk and so on. I even decorated all those like in Rangoli style, painted them. The walls around, you would see all around the house, all the walls are painted like this. And I remember Vina said, when I come to Trinidad, I'll come by you to see all those paintings on the wall. I told her, yes, you're welcome anytime. So this is how I love to decorate my place. Now, this is a picture of the cultural center that my children and I built in our land in Caparo. It can accommodate up to 300 people. And we have decided that we are going to promote our culture. I have decided that, listen, my home is a bit small to accommodate people who would want to learn. And if you want to learn, and you can find yourself in this cultural center where I have classes going. But now because of the COVID situation, I have had to abandon classes. We had classes from January, but we were only allowed to teach 10 students because of the COVID regulations. And I don't want to go beyond the regulations. So I trained 10 at a time. So I am hoping that after this COVID scenario is over, and let's say around August, I can again begin training members of the community, whether middle-aged, young, old, whoever is willing to learn. You are free to come out. All my classes are free. I've never charged anybody to come to learn anything, whether it is singing the song, whether it is painting the pots, whether it is cutting the paper, whether it is tying sari, tying dhoti, whatever it is. All these skills that came with our ancestors, I promote them. I teach it in the village, and I want people to learn. People from all over Trinidad will come. These are the members of my family. And they are the members of, they are the people who help me with the ranch. They are the owners of the ranch, I should say. My son, his wife, and his children. My husband has been bedridden for some time because he got a stroke, 2 strokes one after the other, and he's not able to do much, but he's still there giving his support to us wherever we go and whatever we do. He's always there to remind us. My daughter and my son-in-law is also there, and my son, who is seated here with me right now, ensuring that all goes well, is also there with his wife. And I appreciate this so much. I am really very happy to with all my children and their families to always support me in whatever my endeavor is. Anytime I decide to do something, whether it's cultural or not, they are at my side, always helping me. This here is a picture of, I got one of my sisters-in-law, my husband's sister, who is very versed in tying the pagri and the sari and the dhoti, and she told me, Bauj, I am going to come and help you with this school because with this program, because I am so happy that other people come and help me rather than a burden being on my shoulders alone. So I am very happy and very thankful to my sister-in-law, Mrs. Chandey Beepath, for being one of my tutors in this regard. And she has been helping, showing the students, demonstrating how to tie the pagri, how to tie the dhoti, how to tie the sari in different fashion, whether it is over the shoulder, whether it is the Rajasthani style, what the different, there are so many different styles you can tie a sari. And she was able to demonstrate all those, which I didn't have all in this year. And she may tell us about the quality of the sari. And then we have a lungi, which is in the last picture here, where she is teaching us how to tie the lungi, how to prepare the lungi. So I am so happy. Then I have one of the most beautiful and decorative designs that we all know now, and everybody loves to wear that on their hands, especially the women, whether it is weddings, whether it's anniversary, whether you just want to wear it for your own beautification anytime, free to do that. So we have also done mehendi designs, and this was done by my daughter-in-law, Mrs. Nalita Beepath. And she was able to show the students actually how to go about doing it. First, they did it on paper, and then afterwards they transferred from paper onto their hands. And these are some of the products that came out of the actual program that we had on mehendi, one of the designs. And all these are being offered in my ranch. Now, I told you that whenever our parents had programs, had yagyas or weddings or so, they would decorate their places really beautifully. And so we'll see here in the first picture, they cut out designs of dancing ladies and so on, and we'll use that to hang up all on the inside of the tent. Or we'll have kite paper cut up into bird nests. Single bird nest, double bird nest. You can join them together, different colors, and you hang them up in the ceiling, and they would fall from there when the breeze blew, and you see how beautiful they look. Then we also did malas. We made malas. Some can be long, some can be short. The shorter ones, we can use them as gajras to put in your hair. And the long, very long malas, we can also hang them from the ceiling, or yes, you can use them to decorate our murtis. So many uses we have of malas. And these here are some of the, on the blackboard here, some different designs of paper. We cut in paper to different designs that you could put on partitions, you can put on walls, like a train, like wheels and so on to decorate around. So the place wouldn't look drab. Anything you have in. And these are some that we have through the ceiling. We call them lampshades, or the other, these tools, you have them, you tie them with the string and hang them up. And so too, we have, I have been able to show students how to design a jhandi. You know, when you have puja, you have red for Hanumanji, and you have white for Saraswati Ma, and the different colors jhandi that you have. And you have to know to get the cloth, cut the cloth, sew the cloth to make your jhandis. And this was one of the in-depth courses that I did with them as well. And they design the edge through paper, through cutting. A cutting design we have on the jhandi as well. So this is also one of the things that I taught to them. And of course, I told you what my mother showed us, the rangoli designs at the entrance to your home. You make rangolis, whatever time it is, or you're having wedding at your place, you can use the rangoli as well. But you can also use the rangoli, which is the first one on the left, they're looking like a plate. That is one that we can make a wall plaque to put up on the walls. So if we make several like that, we can put them on the wall, but you have to ensure that they stick down the rice grain so they won't fall apart. And the designs that we have made with the birds and so on, they all have been made with rice grains that are stuck so closely together. If you look closely at the one in the middle, you'll see all the rice grains are separated. You see the green, all those are packed tight. And then we had to put them in separate heaps. So when you put in them, the red wouldn't get in the way of the green, and the blue wouldn't get in the way of the yellow. But it's time consuming, and you must do it neatly if you want it to look well. So, and this is how this is a skill that is used here to show how to do this rangoli. So you design your rangoli, and then you put your rice grain to suit. And the one here is one that you put in the doorway as well. With we can use rice grain and color them in different colors, and we set them out. First you draw your pattern, and then you go on to fill in with the green. And these are some of the activities that take place in the cultural center that I have there and I have built. We have like, I am there conducting a puja for my sister for her birthday. And all the other children and Bob, I usually do hawan, do pujas, and so people who are sick and ask me to jari, I also jari some people when they're not well. And then we have now another part in the ranch itself, we have celebrations, like, you know, somebody's birthday, like it's my husband's birthday, and we want to keep a little celebration. So members of my band, and you see me sitting there singing as well. So members of my band will come out in full force and we would entertain all those people who are part of the audience. So we'd sing appropriate song that you need and so on. So I would say that my parents and grandparents who came from India, they brought so much with them. All their skills, their religion, their language, their dress. We are so happy to have all those things with us, and we must allow those things to show our identity. If we do not, if we let them fall by the wayside and let it just drop there, our children would learn nothing. The next generation would learn nothing. So I have now embarked on a book I told you of local classical songs that I am putting to train, to allow young singers to learn to sing classical songs as well. So we have all different kinds. So as the journey continues, I have just made up a song on Indian arrival that I would like to play for you and wish you happy Indian Arrival Day, and for all our ancestors, we want to say thank you for your presence.
Acha achi ki kahani,
Nana nani ki kahani.
Acha achi ki kahani,
Nana nani ki kahani.
सुनो सुनो ट्रिनबेगो निवासी आजा आजी की कहानी सुनो सुनो ट्रिनबेगो निवासी आजा आजी की कहानी आजा आजी की कहानी नाना नानी की कहानी आजा आजी की कहानी नाना नानी की कहानी सुनो सुनो ट्रिनबेगो निवासी आजा आजी की कहानी सुनो सुनो ट्रिनबेगो निवासी आजा कहानी of May in 1845, on 30th of May in 1845, Father Razak arrived here in Trinidad, arrived here in Trinidad. Hindu, Muslim, or Christians together, still living here like brothers. Hindu, Muslims, or Christians together, still living here like brothers. Suno suno Trinbego Nivasi Aja Aji ki kahani. Suno suno Trinbego Nivasi Nana Nani ki kahani. देश भाषा धर्म संगीत नृत्य खाना देश भाषा धर्म संगीत नृत्य खाना संगीत नृत्य खाना फेस्टिवल और परंपरा बच्चों को सिखाना सुनो सुनो ट्रिनबेगो निवासी आजा आज की कहानी सुनो सुनो ट्रिनबेगो निवासी नाना नानी की कहानी पसीना परी भर पाई बहना, खून आंसू पसीना परी भर पाई बहना, परी भर पाई बहना will hard to build this nation and educate their children. सुनो सुनो ट्रिनिडा निवासी आजा आज की कहानी, सुनो सुनो ट्रिनिडा निवासी नाना नानी की कहानी. भाई बहन हमारी तेरा काम है भारी, भाई बहन हमारी तेरा काम भारी, तेरा काम है भारी. Uphold your identity, Indentured निवासी. सुनो सुनो ट्रिनिडा निवासी आजा आज की कहानी, सुनो सुनो ट्रिनिडा निवासी नाना नानी की कहानी. आजा आज की कहानी नाना नानी की कहानी, आजा आज की कहानी नाना नानी की कहानी. सुनो सुनो ट्रिनिडा निवासी आजा आज की कहानी, सुनो सुनो ट्रिनिडा निवासी आजा आज की कहानी, सुनो सुनो ट्रिनिडा निवासी आजा आज की कहानी, सुनो सुनो ट्रिनिडा निवासी.
So let me say thank you to all the viewers, all those who have been participating in this program. I really did enjoy my presentation to you. As I told you, it's what I have learned from my ancestors and what I give to you, so you would understand as a child of the indentured how much I have learned and how I need to pass it on to others so they can uphold their identity and we can also continue the journey. I want to thank Dinesh Maharaj from Radio and TV Jagriti who joined with me to produce that song that you just heard. So thank you again once and all for all of you who have tuned in to this live presentation. Thank you.
Hi.
Thank you, Rukmini ji. Yeah.
Yeah. So thanks, Auntie Rukmini. It was indeed, it emphasized the difference within the Indo-Caribbean diaspora. I mean, a lot of people heard some Hindi expressions and we all speak in English. So indeed, a very interesting presentation today. Just want to wrap up as that was the last presentation by thanking Mr. Ashok Kumaramsaran as well as Rukminee Beepath for their very insightful, informative, and in some cases nostalgic for me presentation. I would like to thank Ms. Shetty for asking me to MC from Caribbean Hindustani. Feel free to visit caribbeanhindustani.org or the web, the Facebook page where this live has been posted for all posterity.